Yeah, I hit record.
All right. We're going to call the Monday, February 1st Park and Rec Commission meeting to order. I assume, Rick, there's no public forum because I don't see anybody strange on here.
No.
Okay. So we move on to correspondence, which we had quite a bit of. So we have the Andy Gottlieb, who sent an email to you thanking us for speaking with them. And then you replied and sent him all the contacts as we agreed to for all the sports groups.
Correct.
Okay. And actually we have that on our agenda as well, don't we? So, or not? Field close, yes. So we'll talk about that a little more after. And also the letter from Ed Green wanting to use the Bittner Park for women's soccer in June and July. That's on the agenda for later as well.
Correct.
And we have the two letters that were sent to the landowners of land abutting Chittenden. So where we had talked about how their property sort of encroached on the town property. So they did finally get letters to let them know that. And then lastly, we have this request for a bench. That's not on our agenda, is it?
No, it isn't, Rose. I think I might have gotten it after the agenda went out maybe, but so if you want to add that to the agenda.
All right, so we'll add that under new business.
Yeah.
All right, request for bench. Okay, so I'll keep that over there. Okay. So, approval of the minutes of our January 11th meeting. Somebody want to move to approve the minutes?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes
Second.
of January 2021.
Someone
second.
second it, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, any additions, any corrections? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, expenditures. Any questions on our expenditures?
Rose, I want to make a note of one. You see the Bittner Park Eversource?
Yep.
$1,000. That's way higher than normal. But the reason for that is because of the COVID-19, we have two guys that are working in the garage up there. So normally the bathrooms are closed, but we have to keep heat going in the bathroom so the pipes don't freeze, and we have to have heat on in that garage. But because we have to separate guys out, two guys are working in there. They're painting picnic tables and so on there. So yeah, I think it was like a 5,000% increase in electric use. That's why, because we have to heat it. The guys are working there right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we do what we've got to do.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Any comments? Okay, so a motion to approve the expenditures.
I make a motion to approve the expenditures.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And okay. Department reports. Rick's report. Any comments? Any questions? Wow.
Yeah, well, again, mostly, my narrative is kind of describes what we've been working on. Is the vaccines have been taking a huge amount of time, a lot of Zoom meetings, and the whole COVID-19 thing. And we were very, very successful with the vaccines that we did in the first clinic. I think the episode is really not a Parks and Rec clinic. I mean, people are calling our office when they get the notification that we're doing clinics in Guilford. But they're not Parks and Rec or town clinics. They're really the East Shore Health District. We are just one of the sites. And it's really their clinic, but we have 4 staff working at it. And then they have nurses. And there were 12 paramedics at the first one, because I think eventually East Shore Health District is going to sort of back out a little bit. I think they're always going to have at least 1 or 2 people there, but I think eventually it's going to be our EMT guys, paramedics, doing the inoculation or the vaccines. And we have 2 of our staff were helping check people in, 2 were checking temperatures. Then we had the Whitfield room was sort of the observation area. So, after somebody gets their first vaccine, they have to be observed for about 15 minutes. Excuse me. And then we had the Alexander Lounge as if there was an issue with somebody having a problem, the paramedics would take them in there so they're not like, in front of people having a problem. But there weren't any. And I'll have to tell you, the East Shore Health District people said it was the best organized clinic that they've seen. So I'm not surprised because, all the EMTs were there and our staff, and they were very, very complimentary. And plus, Sonia was there from the health department, and Nancy, who used to, Nancy used to be our administrative assistant. She's working with the health department. She was there all day too, helping out. So it went very smoothly. And we would have had the second one today, but now that's next week. And there is
Rick,
an
thank-
improvement to the VAM system. And Nick, you may know about this. The VAMS is a system that people have to register through, which is very, very challenging. So part of what Terry and other staff have been working on is, hang on a second, Diane's trying to get in. Let me admit her. Make sure I got her. Okay. It's a challenging system. Rose, I know you've tried with her husband getting on it. But what change they've made is it effective, would have been effective today. When people schedule their come for their first appointment, they're going to get a card to schedule their second appointment at the same place, which that's been a real challenge for people. They weren't doing that before, but they are now, or would have today. So when people come today, would have gotten a card for another appointment 4 weeks out. So what's going to happen at that point is, I think John's joining us right now too, is that we are probably going to have split clinics where it'll be an open clinic in the morning, which means anyone who had pre-registered for it, and then I think, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, it's going to be called, I believe, a closed clinic in the afternoon, which are people who are getting their second shot. They'll already have been scheduled for that. So it's closed, meaning that only those people who are pre-scheduled for that will come to it. So that's going to happen 3 or 4 weeks from now. There'll be really double clinics. One will be the new people, and one will be the second shot people. Am I getting that right, Nick?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, we just finished. So I have 2 questions. One, with the cards that you're talking about, you're talking about the CDC cards, or is this something that East Shore Health District is doing?
East Shore is doing it, but I don't know if it's a CDC card or it's from VAMS or what, but it'll automatically schedule them for a second appointment.
Okay. So these are the vaccination cards. It should have the dosage and the lot number on it.
Right.
That's different. I think that's different. And then the second question with the VAMS, because I know we do this with my chart, you can have a guarantor if someone, for whatever, if it's something other than that they're technically challenged, like they aren't, don't have all their faculties with them, you can have a guarantor. You can just have a family member, if there is one, hopefully,
Right.
who can be responsible for it, who is the one who says, okay, I'm going to schedule this, I'm going to get them, I'll take care of it. Would be my only thought with that, because we have done that in the past.
Okay, so let me.
Yeah, we're actually, go ahead.
I can
No,
comment.
you go ahead.
So what we're doing, that somebody else is admitting here now, I'm not sure it was, but I think everybody's in. We should have all the commissioners on now. So I set up a meeting last Friday with the library director and a couple of their staff, with Sonia, our health director, and Taylor and I met with them. So to your point, Nick, we've been working with people who don't have email, because this one thing I think wasn't thought out real well. What about seniors who don't have email? Because the only way to get on, you have to have an email account. Mm-hmm. And we know of probably 200 or 300 seniors who don't even have a computer. So Terry and Nancy have been working a lot all last week, every day. We're trying to help people that don't have a computer. They're creating a Gmail account kind of a, I don't want to call it a fake account, but they're creating an account. So in a sense, we become their aides in a way. I mean, we're going to get all
secretary.
those, we're going to become their email, and then we're going to get notified that Nick Kane has an appointment February 3rd. You know, Nick doesn't have a computer, so we make him an account for you. We get notified, then we have to notify you. You have an appointment February 3rd at, you know, Clinton or wherever it is. It's gonna be a lot of work, but there's no way, we gotta help these people. So what I did though is because we were also getting people who have a computer but were having trouble figuring it out. So we got the library, that's what the library role is gonna be. They're gonna work with people who have computers to help them get through all this. So it's gonna take 40 or 50% of the calls away from us because our staff are getting inundated with all these phone calls on Thursday and Friday. So I'm thankful the library is willing to step up and help out. They got people very qualified and skilled with the computers. They've got 20 computers there. So if people need to come in and they have one-on-one help, they can do it. So we kind of split roles, which is going to be a huge help for us, take a big load off of us. So we're very thankful they're stepping up to help out with that.
Are you able to just do like dummy accounts? I've never used VAMs, but are you able to do, with my chart, you can make a dummy, if you're on the Epic side of it, you can make a dummy account. I don't know if VAMs will allow you to do that, but just to save you guys some time as we move through this.
Yeah, it's kind of what they're doing is they're creating dummy accounts for the seniors. Who
No,
don't
but I'm
have-
saying you don't even create it. You just enter in wherever in VAMs it says email address. You just put noname@noname.com. Is that
Oh,
that or no?
Oh,
you know what? If you can you call me tomorrow? Because Terry can walk you through what she's doing. She has a better handle on it than I do. And then maybe what you're suggesting might be an easier way.
Okay.
Do you mind calling? I think we just got a notification from the selectman's office that's gonna be a 2-hour delay tomorrow. So we'll be in there like 10:30.
Okay, that's fine. I do not have a 2-hour delay, so you can call me anytime.
Okay.
Thank you, Nick. It's hard.
so the only other thing, Rick, is number 5 on your report. You didn't attend for me, you attended with me, but that's okay.
Oh, sorry. I didn't catch that typo. With you. Yeah, Rose was there.
I was there.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
That's fine. Any other comments on Rick's report?
Are we going to discuss the Human Rights Commission meeting or
I believe it's on our agenda, yeah.
Where?
This is,
Field closure.
Field
Under-
closures for holidays.
yeah.
under
B under
Unfinished
business.
business.
okay, thank you.
You guys hear that? Is it just me?
Who called in?
Wow.
315.
Twilight Zone.
Wow.
Anything's possible.
I think it was an alien invasion.
Yeah, really.
Whew.
Okay, recreation supervisor report. Claire, what if we hold off on all the splash pad stuff until splash pad? Any other comments on, or any comments on Ellen's report?
Yeah, we're going to talk about beach passes later. She has some comments, recommendations on beach passes. I think that's on the agenda.
Okay. I'll leave that right there. Okay. Maintenance report.
Yeah, I have a bunch of questions. If
Sure.
there's a lot of acronyms there, and I don't know. Which it says finish cutting. I got a few questions like finish cutting all pink ribbon tag trees at what's DG?
Are you on Tony's report?
I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm
sure
sorry.
where you are on, where are you looking?
We're
oh,
on, we're on the Todd's report, the maintenance
Oh, I'm
report.
sorry, my bad. All right, my
Yeah.
bad. I jumped the gun. Okay, I'll wait till I get to Tony's report. Okay.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right,
One comment I'll just make, Rose, on plumbing, the third bullet, COVID-19 grant.
Mhm.
There's a $2,500 grant that's non-competitive that is just available for COVID-related things. And so we are looking at doing, I don't think it's, well, maybe faucets, but mostly touchless toilets and urinals because of the whole COVID thing. We can use it for that. And I think if we can get some faucets, we're going to try to do that too, which when we talk about the budget cuts, I think we can discuss that. But just $2,500, it can be used because of COVID type expenses.
Okay. Okay, seniors report was next.
Yeah, this is a much abbreviated one. And actually, Jen wrote it for Terry because she didn't have time. But you see the summary there. I mean, you know, the drive-through lunches, we had, I think, 180 that came through this
Yeah, I
past
heard.
Friday.
Yeah.
They've been very, very popular, drive-through lunches. Still doing the shopping. And, you know, really the focus has all been the vaccine clinics.
Yeah.
That's been a major focus.
Okay. My concern is that we're wearing thin, or, you know, time-wise with all that we're doing for our seniors right now, but it seems to be working, so it's okay. I was afraid Terry would be spread much too thin, but she says she's doing okay. I've been checking in on her.
She's been working most weekends too. She's
She's-
Sundays a week she's been working.
She's doing a lot. I know it.
Yeah.
She's got a lot on her plate between the shopping, the regular stuff, and now the COVID stuff, so.
Yeah.
But I understand everybody else is chipping in to help too, so.
I've told our whole department, all the staff understand that our number one focus is helping older folks get that vaccine. And if we have to put other things on the side a little bit, we have to do it. So we gotta, it's a national urgency. I don't know if it's an
Yeah.
emergency, but it's an urgency. And this is our role right now to help.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just
Okay.
gonna grab a jacket. I'm a little bit chilly.
Okay, park foreman's report.
Yeah, I got a few other questions that, Rick, it says, on the fourth or fifth one down, finish cutting all pink ribbon tag trees at DG. What's DG?
Disc golf.
Oh, disc golf, okay.
Yeah.
And then, hitch lights off to LHP.
Long Hill Park. So those are the portable lights that the football organization has out, you know, every fall. And we kind of decided we wanted to take them off rather than have the contractor do it, because a couple of years in a row, the contractor came when the field was soft and they left a lot of ruts. And so we talked to them and said, look, let us remove them from the field, then we'll let you know when they're off the field. You can take them out of the parking lot. So that's what we did it ourselves to get it off the field.
All right. And it says inventory SDS.
Safety data sheets. So when we get any kind of chemicals, they're used to be called material safety data sheets. Now they call them safety data sheets. But anytime we have any kind of chemicals of any type, it's got a description of what the chemical is. If you know, if you get on your skin, what do you have to do? If you get in your eyes, what do you have to do? Hazards. So there's a notebook that Tony has filled with all this stuff. Todd has one too for the stuff at the community center. And so they were just updating all those data sheets. You get new ones that come in. Sometimes they end up in a folder and they got to get put in a notebook.
All right. And my last question, Rick, it says file damage report for 2 employees.
Where's that one?
The hitch lights.
Almost halfway down. File damage report for 2 employees. Right after hitch lights.
Oh yeah, you know what that was? That was one of our guys was salting the parking lot at the garage last storm, not this one. Whenever that last one was, Tuesday or Monday, whatever it was. And some of the salt is almost like gravel, and it comes out with, you know, kind of pellets almost. And it hit a couple of our employees' cars, and one of them actually damaged the windshield. Other ones left nicks in the the side of the car. So reports had to be filed for the town's insurance carrier because
Okay,
of
but it's,
property.
okay, so it's no employees got hurt, it's just equipment,
It was, yeah, vehicles, yeah,
okay, so no employees got hurt with the two reports.
correct.
Okay, gotcha. All right, sounds good.
Rick, what are the granite poles that got hit at Jacobs?
You know, the obelisks, I guess there are, that are, one of them is at the boardwalk,
Oh, yes,
every end
okay.
of the boardwalk. Somebody backed into it, knocked it down, and actually two of them got knocked down. So Tony was able to drill through, put a rebar in it, like a rod, and then kind of cement it back together. This has happened, I think 3 times now. So at some point we may think about, you know, they're not working very well. Somebody backs into them, they get knocked over. They break.
Why are they there?
To keep people from driving on the beach or
That's
driving on
what I
the boardwalk.
thought, yeah, so
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah.
And why did we move freezers to the, what's from rec to food bank? That's fourth from the bottom.
Yeah, so the food drive that the social services department does, they used to have the freezers at the barn at Bishop's. And for whatever reason, this year they weren't able to do that. So we allowed them to store their turkeys. You know, we weren't using the with the
Yeah.
room was being used.
Right.
So Tammy had asked if we could do it out of the community center, and we had enough room for them to be able to do this and spread out to hand the turkeys out.
Yep.
People, did drive through. So Tony just had to bring them back to wherever they brought them to, move them out of the building when they were done.
Okay.
Don't forget, we're the Department of Parks and Cooperation.
Yes, I know we are. Any other questions on this? Okay. All right, commission staff representatives report, standing fields. Anything happening?
No meeting. Oh, Joe, I don't know if you have any, but there was no meeting this past month.
Green committee,
They also did not meet.
land acquisition.
Nothing to report.
I love it.
Nothing.
Okay, splash pad, Claire, you're up.
Splash Pad is back in motion with fundraising, and major kudos to Ellen and staff for really coming up with this idea for the Splash into Motion fundraiser and really spearheading it. So that kicked off today. It was, you could join as an individual, a business, or a family, and it's tracking your movement through the month, your miles, and there's awards for people that reach the most miles in a week or in the month, and then they're hoping to reach 5,000 miles for the month. And then she also included the letters that they wrote to businesses and between people on the committee and Park and Rec staff have been going pretty much door to door to businesses, handing out this letter and information about either Splash into Motion fundraiser or other opportunities for them to get involved. And then there's other sample letters of for registering and thanking for gifts and whatnot. But really, honestly, without Ellen and this staff, I can't say that this would have been kicked off as quickly and smoothly as it has been. So I know they're so busy with everything else down there, but kudos to them for taking this idea and running with it. So we are back up and running fundraising. We are fingers crossed. The committees are meeting left and right to try to come up with new ideas, ways to get businesses involved, even outside of Guilford, looking for grants. But we are hopeful that we will begin building this year and have it done. So that's my update.
Yeah, I just want to also just add what Claire said. They did a great job creating this whole concept. Ellen, Taryn, and Connor got together and, it's their project. Doing a great job. I keep talking about what we're doing for seniors, but we're still doing other things too. Seniors is the main focus right now because of just what's going on. But we can't do a lot of programs right now, so they're focusing their energies on other things. And this was a great project that they got involved in and created.
I think it'll be fun. We'll see what happens. And it goes on for the entire month, right?
Yes.
Yes, they're doing it from today to the 28th. You're tracking your miles.
Terrific.
I like how you have the word snowshoeing in there. That's perfect for today.
Wow, yeah.
Yep. And it really, I mean, it was great because it's not geared towards just little kids or, you know, families with
Right.
kids. This is geared towards anyone. It's
Everybody.
really just to get anyone in Guilford up, moving, enjoy the area that we have. We have beautiful parks. We have beautiful trails, just to get people up and moving because COVID is taking its toll on everyone. And then, so it's a double fold, get people out moving, and then it also benefits the splash pad. So.
Yeah, it's got a dual purpose.
Fingers crossed. Okay. Any questions for Claire? Okay, let's move on to unfinished business, the ADA walkway.
Well, we're making progress. We ordered material. Of course, now we got snow on the ground.
Yeah, well, can't
We
have
have the
everything.
stone dust and the fill that we have to put. I believe the stone dust has been delivered there, so we have it. So, you know, whenever weather allows, we'll be, and we have manpower and time to do it, we'll start doing it. So Tony and I met with Mike Ott, the engineer down there, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I guess. But so we're ready to roll as soon as we can.
Great. Okay, the field closures. Yes, Rick and I met with the Human Resources Commission. And they did understand exactly what we were saying, that we really could not close the fields. I think the confusion, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, was that the schools could close because they were talking about, you know, using basketball and but when the schools are closed, the buildings are closed because they have to hire a custodian. And with no custodian, you can't use the school. Not the same with the field. The field is just there. We don't hire people to watch our fields. So they did understand that, and they agreed with us that the way to go would be to contact all of the individual sports clubs.
Good.
I think anything more, Rick? I mean, that was about it. They were very nice.
Yeah, and I think the next day I sent them the list
Yep.
of sports contacts, and they acknowledged that they got that. So that's good.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it was a good meeting.
Good.
I thought it was a good meeting. So the ball's in their court now, so they have to, but we are not, we made it clear that we could not close individual fields other than for weather or, you know, something, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, disc golf. Moving along, are we?
Yeah, well, you saw the news report. We've been doing a little more work in there for the long fairways, clearing some more trees. We met up there with Kevin McGee, 'cause there were a couple trees that were questionable if we could take down or not, and he said okay. We're doing a disc golf challenge right now. Again, a project that the recreation staff put together. Connor is kind of overseeing it. And there are 12 people signed up, and each is paying $10, so it's $120 to go toward, you know, the course improvements. But basically, it's people can just go play whenever they want and submit their scores each week to Connor, and he's keeping track of it. And at the end, there'll be a prize for, you know, whoever has the best score. So we have 12 people. I don't know offhand what their ages are, but there are 12 people participating. It's for the month. For a month, it's a 4-week league, if you want to call it that, challenge. So the challenge now with the snow out there would be trying to play and not lose your disc.
Don't play with a white one.
I was just saying, use bright red.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. And our pickleball tennis courts.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I'm getting a little frustrated. We were supposed to be out to bid like in January. I contacted our engineer. I emailed him last week. I called twice last week, and I haven't heard back from him yet. I'm gonna put more pressure on starting tomorrow. We wanted to be out to bid in January, have the project start in March. And we did meet out at Bidner Park with the Public Works Director. They were willing to start hauling fill. They had time, well, before the snowfall
Yeah.
fell. There's a lot of the fill up at Baldwin that we can use that came from the high school project. And Mike has already, the engineer, has identified that fill is okay to use. But I thought, well, why don't we get to at least the Public Works to haul it while they have time and bring it up there? But anyway, that all got pushed back a bit. But that's the idea, is they're willing to haul it. That'll save some money from having the contractor do that. So at some point they'll do it. But we just got to get those specs out to bid so we can get this thing going in March.
Here's hoping.
They're supposedly done. I just got to get them and get them to the purchasing department for them to put all the boilerplate stuff on there and send it out.
Okay, any other unfinished business? All right, new business.
Oh, wait, Rose, I do want to talk about budget cuts. You want to do it under new business?
Sure, we can do it right now if you want.
Okay. So
Go for it.
I got a call from Mary Jane, finance director. They wanted us to make cuts in the capital budget. So I spoke with Tony to find out from equipment perspective, if we had to push back a year, what can we give up? They were looking to cut $500,000 out of not just out of us, but out of the whole town side capital budget. So Laura, I'm looking at is that a cat or a dog behind you there?
It's a dog.
I'm looking at the little dog there. Anyway,
That's
sorry.
an awfully large cat.
Sorry about the distraction.
I'm usually in my office, not tonight.
Oh, boy. So we cut our loader $40,000 and a 6-foot mower $26,000. Then they wanted a little bit more, and they asked about the countertops in the bathroom. They asked if it's a safety issue. I said, well, the faucets are. The countertops are aesthetic. We thought it makes sense to do them all at the same time. So what we agreed to, we're keeping 5,000 in, which is the minimum for capital expenditures. 5,000 I think we can use to get the faucets. And so they cut out 15,000 for the countertops. I talked to Todd about that, asking, can we get touchless faucets that we could, they'd be independent of the countertops, so that if we remove the sinks, we could still use these faucets later on. He thinks we can get them. So I think we're okay. We'll still be able to get all the touchless faucets we want to get. And remember, I said earlier, some of that we're going to get through that $2,500 grant. So this will supplement that if we have this. So we'll still have the 5,000 for the touchless faucets. We just would have to push back the countertops. So the total out of capital from our department would be $81,000.
What was the 40,000 for, Rick?
A loader. We have a loader. We
Right.
but it's 20 years old. We
Okay.
always like to replace things before we start getting problems. So we'll just push it back, and it'll go into next year's budget.
Okay.
So that's capital. The operating budget, they also cut
So Rick-
23,000.
Rick, excuse me, so what's the total in the capital budget? What's the
The
total in there?
total that they took from our budget, 81,000.
81,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I don't have the budget in front of me, so I can't tell you what we still have, but
Oh, mine's, yeah.
I can tell you a couple field projects are still in. The drainage project at Baldwin, which is 36,000, that's still in. And I'm losing a dollar amount. It might be around 65,000 for irrigation at the Cox Lower Field.
Okay.
Irrigating and putting new sod down. Those
Do
are
we
still in right.
Do we recall last year, just for comparison? I mean, it's not really comparison, but what was cut out of the capital, what we were asked to cut out of the capital last year?
God, I don't remember.
The amount? I'm just curious.
I can do a couple off the top of my head. Again, I may not have the exact
Yeah.
dollar.
Yeah.
But the Cox project for irrigation, that was going to be in this year's. We pushed it back to next year. So that was pushed
Right.
back. the roller, there's a roller that's in this year's budget for, I'm gonna say around 45,000 in a trailer that we were gonna get in this year's budget. That got pushed back. So that we kept in for next year.
Mhm.
But what got cut, well, yeah, the roller got cut in the trailer. I'm not sure if there's anything else beyond that. Oh, the other thing that's still in the budget, we had 50,000 in there for a new fire alarm system and smoke detectors in the community center. Right now,
Mhm.
those are still in.
Well, that's important.
They
I mean-
cut out the pickleball courts, and we were supposed to pay for that out of reimbursables.
Mhm.
And I think what the slit drains I wrote down here? Was this last?
We did slit drains at the high school. We did those. We had a choice of keeping that in or the Cox project. Last year, we chose for the drains at the high school.
Right, so that got cut too.
Yeah.
And the tennis court repair at Adams, did we pay for that ourselves?
Well, that was gonna be,
That's right, we haven't done that
was-
yet, that's right.
well, we're switching that over to the pickleball courts. We're gonna use that for pickleball.
Yes,
The tennis
correct.
courts right now are probably not gonna happen because that they wanted us to take out of reimbursables and we don't have it.
Okay, yeah, okay, and then. Okay. Yes, and don't forget, they told us to take $40,000 out of our reimbursables to offset our operating expenses last year.
Right.
That's
we're not-
right. Mhm.
So if you don't have any more questions on capital, I can tell you what they cut out of operating budget.
Oh, yeah, let's go for it.
You guys ready to roll on that one? Some are not big hits, some are. Overtime, they cut $600. We had 24,600. They kept us at 24,000, which is what our current budget is. The water for the splash pad at Jacobs Beach, they're kind of making assumptions that may not happen. 5,000 got cut out of utilities for that. But they've also acknowledged that if the splash pad does happen, obviously they're gonna have to come up with the money to for the water. The biggest hit is fireworks. We put 12,000 back in, they cut that out. They think we should still pay for that out of the program account. Even though we've told them that. our
We have no
program-
program account.
That's great if you have programs
Thank
going
you.
on right now. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
And then recreation and supplies. equipment.
Was that a topic of conversation at all at the budget? It seems silly to ask that, but like I had asked this last month too. Was that a topic of conversation at the budget meeting?
You know what, I wasn't there because they had to change it 3 times, and by the time they had it, I was at another appointment, but.
Yeah, I mean, to me,
When
it's
we-
pretty obvious, but maybe to some, I don't know.
No, I think it was just, well, go ahead, Rick. I mean, usually we just present these things,
Yeah,
you know, and then,
But I highlighted that and said that,
Yeah.
I emphasized that in 2000, when we started the fireworks, up
Right.
until 2018, they were covered by the budget. However, let me step back, not to cloud things up. There were 2 years where it was cut out of the budget and there were residents in the community did private fundraising and they raised the
Mhm.
money for 2 years in a row.
mhm,
But then when they saw that the town was telling the public that we have a surplus of $1 million at the end of the year, those individuals went to the selectmen at the time. They said, well, why are we busting our butt raising money to fire? You got $1 million going back to the not expended. And so then it was being paid for out of the budget. And then 2018, they asked us to start taking out of reimbursable. So most of the 21 years we've been doing fireworks, it's been paid for by the town budget. I emphasize that when we did the budget presentation, that it's the largest town event. And why is that coming out of the program account? That should be a budgeted item. In fact, even Sandy Ruoff asked how much was in there. She said, I seem to remember you have like $500,000. I said, no, we have 135,000 unallocated. The commission's desire was always to not go below 150,000. And we're at 135. And quite frankly, that doesn't even include expenses for programs we're doing right now. So it's going to go lower than that.
right.
And again, I said, this is a town-wide special event. It should be a town-sponsored event. Why is it coming just out of the Parks and Rec program account? But they cut it. So, and they also cut 5,900 out of our recreation supplies and equipment. That's where we get, tennis nets, bases, staff uniforms, bathing suits for the aquatic staff. They cut that out. And again, they're expecting us to pay that out of program account.
So when the social media starts about not having fireworks, it's going to be the Park and Rec is the ones that are going to get slammed by not having that, not the town.
Well, unless Park and Rec goes out right away and says, so sorry, people, we can't have fireworks because we've had no programs. We don't have enough money in our budget. We can't do it. And it was cut out of our budget. Tough luck.
Rick, question with the supplies and equipment that cover the bathing suits and like the beach safety equipment and whatnot. They cut the entire budget for that?
Yeah, 5,900 is what we had. They cut it off.
Okay, so are we going to recoup our beach fees then to cover those supplies?
Good
That's
question.
coming up.
Because I mean, like, you can't take our funds from the beach passes and then cut our complete budget for equipment for the beach,
Yeah,
our
good point.
lifeguards and whatnot. So they can't have both. They can either give us the $5,900 to supply our safety equipment, or they can give us back our beach fees to pay for it. Like that doesn't even make sense to me.
Mm-mm.
You
Well,
can't
so-
have both.
So Claire, one thing we can do is that, and I know that, this has happened in the past, is that when it gets to the Board of Finance level, we as a commission, we could go and request the Board of Finance, they put anything back in. They may say yes, or they may say no, but we can do that. It might be a little hard for me because, Matt's my boss and it wasn't his decision. It's the whole commission, the whole Board of Selectmen. But I think that if, any of the commissioners went to that meeting and made that request, anything that we think we need back in, I mean, I think we should maybe lobby for the fireworks. And I think we should lobby for what we need for rec supplies. I think the rest is okay. I think the overtime, hey, look, if we have a lot of snowstorms, we go over the overtime budget, they're gonna have to cover it.
They're gonna have
We
to
don't
come
have
up with
choice.
money. That's right.
Right.
And if we end up having a splash pad and we have to come up with water for it, they're gonna have to come up with it. So, but they don't have to come up with fireworks. They don't have to come up with money for the, rec supplies unless we ask for it.
Do you know when the Board of Finance meetings are, the public forums?
I don't know. Usually it's in February sometime, but I can
Yeah.
let you.
All right.
They're the third week in the month they meet, but I don't remember the day.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out.
But
Usually they're-
I agree with you, because it's very frustrating. I mean,
It just doesn't make sense. I mean, we can't have a public beach without lifeguards.
Right.
We can't have a public beach without safety precautions. And they can't just wear whatever bathing suit they want, because then they'll just look like Joe Schmo on the beach. So it's like, I don't understand how they can take our beach fees and put that towards whatever,
whatever.
supposedly the operating budget. And they claim that pays for our lifeguards. Well, you can't pay lifeguards if they're not trained, if they're not equipped, and if we don't have the equipment. So I just don't get how they can take that money and then take our beach fees too.
Well, Claire,
Doesn't make sense.
Rose, if you guys think it's worth it, I could try to run
Right.
that by Mary Jane tomorrow or Matt and just,
Yeah,
you know,
please do.
make everything back for bases and everything. We may have to go to Little League and say, hey, you guys have to buy your own bases this year. But at least for what we need for the beaches, because you're right, it's first aid equipment,
That's
it's rescue boards, those kinds of things. It might be, it's probably about half of that 5,900 is goes toward the beaches.
So-
Roughly. I'm just doing it off the top of my head, but I think it's close to that.
May I ask a question? So you're saying that the beach passes that people buy and the beach parking, whatever, all that money doesn't come into our budget?
It all goes to the town general fund.
Goes to the town.
Well, okay,
It's from our budget, but it's not, it doesn't go to the reimbursable account.
okay.
Tara?
I was just gonna say, and maybe I missed this, and of course I'm not looking at the budget, but in the past, they always left that in, the safety equipment. I mean, there was a line item and we.
No, well, I think the last 2 years, 2 or 3, 4 years, we've been taking it out of the program account because we had the money
Okay.
there. When we
Okay,
had
so,
a budget, that was cut because we had the money to do it, but now we're strapped.
okay,
I just hope, the other thing I think, and I wasn't part of their deliberation, but Mary Jane said that some members think that there's a pretty good chance we're not gonna be able to still have the fireworks again because of COVID. You know, the guidelines that were in the last summer and fall were that the max, the state regulation was you couldn't have more than 500 people in a place outdoors. So if that holds true, then we can't have fireworks anyway. That's why we couldn't do any concerts on the green. We did them at the beach, but we couldn't do them on the green because we get 1,000 people or more.
Right.
And if that holds true, then, you know, we can't do any of that this summer anyway. So I think some of them are thinking that may still be the case. The fireworks are July 10th, 11th, somewhere in there. You know,
I
I'm
can't really see
optimistic
that
we
happening
can
this
get a
year
better-
either, but for the future, I think it's something, I think it's a really great town event. And,
Yeah.
you know, how about we split the cost? How about, I don't know, it'd be a shame to see them just do away with them. It's such a
Well-
community event. I think it's so important for so many people, you know?
Our cost is way more than that because we rent porta-johns.
Right,
We have a band playing on it. That the band could be a couple $1,000s. We rent the moon bounces. I
Yep.
mean, we probably incurred $4,000 or $5,000 over and above the fireworks cost.
right.
I mean, we could cut a lot of that stuff out, but it wouldn't be the same. You know, I think that's one thing that makes our event so great is not only on the green, we have those things going on with the community band, but then for people to get the fireworks at 7 o'clock, get there early, there's stuff for the kids to do with the moon bounces and the, you know, inflatable stuff. We got
Yeah.
the music going on. And
Yeah,
but I got to say, years ago, we used to have a battle of the bands, and the winners of the battle of the bands got to play the fireworks. That was a great prize for those kids.
I remember that. Yeah, that was
But we
great.
stopped doing that for a couple of reasons. One is the last time we offered a battle of bands, there was only one band. Nobody else signed up.
Oh,
And we had quite a challenge with some high school kids. We had 3 bands playing, and the band that sort of won the battle of the bands gave us a real attitude about getting off the stage because there was a storm coming, and I was cutting them short. So guys, we're cut. You got to be done at 9 o'clock. We said, oh, you said we could have till 9:15. You can't. You got till 9 o'clock. I mean, the mouth on them, the swearing at me, and the attitude. I finally just told the sound guy, cut them off, unplug
cut
them.
them off. Yeah,
And I said, you know something, this is not about you. I got 6,000 people here. We got to get these fireworks in before the storm comes. And guess
Right.
what? It started raining right after the grand finale. We just got it in.
yeah.
At that point, I said, I'm not dealing with these kids anymore. I'm going with professional level bands, and I'm not putting up with this nonsense anymore. And that's when we started hiring groups to do it. It was a great thing for the kids. My own kids were in a band. They got to play at the fireworks.
It was a great thing for the kids. Yeah.
So, but it was a good thing for like probably 18 years or 15 years. We had high school kids playing, and it was a great thing for those kids. But I just decided I had it.
Yeah, I had no idea that's why it stopped. Wow, that's,
Yeah.
geez.
Yeah.
All right, so what's our total hit on the operating?
It's 23,500. Oh, I'm sorry. The other thing they did, which is not going to be a hit. Remember we talked about the position of the building supervisor, elevating that. They have the Board of Selectmen 100% support it, but they
Awesome.
want to go through the Guilford, the GEA, Guilford Employees Association. So it's going to, because it's not only us. They said there are other departments looking for new positions and also
Yeah, perfect.
increases. And so they don't want to pick and choose and whatever. So they want to go through the union. I'm sure they're going to support it. Quite frankly, that's probably the right way to do it. Rather than each department say, hey, we want this. We don't care about, what other departments do. This is what we want. Because there are a number of positions in that same category, they're doing it through the GEA.
That's great.
So they support it. They all support what we want to do. They agree 100%. It's the right thing to do. But they want to go through that other direction. So for now, that's taken out of the budget, but they'll, it'll end up going in the human resources budget. Any increases go through there. So it
Right.
ends up coming out of that budget and it'll be put back into ours later.
Okay.
So it's not a bad thing. I think.
No, that's good. That's great.
Okay, anything else on our budget? Other than disappointment?
Yeah.
All right, new business. Policy on youth sports volunteers working the fields versus staff overtime. Wow.
This is a tough
us-
one. And John and I talked about it a little bit, and John, you can weigh in. I don't know if you got to talk with Little League or not, but so what's generating it is I met with the Parks guys. They had a lot of grumbling about a lot of different things, and one of them regarding overtime. And they know that in Madison, youth sports cannot do any work on the fields. They have to have Parks guys do it. In Madison, they have to have a paid park guy run the scoreboard whenever there's any kind of game. I think it's ridiculous, quite frankly. I think administratively, I wouldn't support that, paying a full-time guy to get overtime to run a scoreboard. I think that's ridiculous. But I'm not criticizing my counterparts in Madison, but that's what they do. And they don't allow anybody to work on fields. So unfortunately, the only sports that would be affected by this is baseball, Little League, and senior baseball, because I mean, nobody works on a soccer field or a lacrosse field. It's basically on weekends, if there are 5 Little League games, you get the worn out area at home plate and the pitcher's mound and maybe shortstop, and those areas have to be re-raked. And the policy that the subcommittee, the commission and the field committee, and John, you were on that. I'm not sure if anybody else was on it from our, Suzanne, maybe it was Suzanne on that. And representatives of the field committee that created the policy that we've been using. In there, I think I might have submitted it to you guys, but in there it says volunteers may only perform field maintenance on baseball, softball fields if they have been properly trained by Parks and Recreation. The exception will be for minor raking of clay at pitcher's mound and home plate as required between games. So we've been allowing them to do that. If they need to put down a batter's box, we don't really have a problem with that. It's taking water off the fields that we have a problem with. Anyway, the bottom line is that our guys are looking for more overtime. That's part of it. They've also if they come in on a Monday and they have to undo maybe some damage to the field that was done by volunteers over the weekend, it creates some more work for them. I clearly have mixed feelings on it. I kind of support our guys in a lot of ways, but I also like the fact that there's a volunteer organization that is willing to take some ownership of the maintenance of the field in terms of they don't mind volunteering to put a batter's box down or, raking or whatever. I think that's not a bad thing. So I'm a little mixed. John, you can weigh in. I talked about it a little bit, and I don't know if you got to talk to Mark Donovan.
You're muted, John.
You have to unmute or use sign language. Can you find your mute button?
Well, he's looking
Can you unmute him?
Let me see. Good question.
John,
I might be able to, let's see. No, I don't have a thing to do it on my iPad.
hold the sign in front of him.
It's upside down.
I think he knows he's muted. There he goes.
Okay.
We got you, John.
Oh, there
Yeah,
we go.
now you have me.
Hey,
Yeah,
John.
the little red microphone was always lit, so there's nothing I could add to it. I agree with Rick in the sense is that the volunteerism is there to do some just minor touch up for the fields during the weekends. The hard part would be if there has been a very hard rain, teams are coming in from out of town, and the volunteers want to go out there and get the fields prepared. That's a hard one because essentially if they make the field or they prepare the field and then somebody gets hurt, where does the responsibility lie? And so I'd rather err on the side of caution. In spite of the fact that I'd rather see the games play, I'd rather see the town protected in the sense of that there should be, like we talked about, the squish test. Oh, geez, I'm covering on my screen. It's an earthquake. Just the fact that there's, if they're trying to do more maintenance than just touch up, then they need to be prohibited from doing that and allow our people to be responsible for making the fields playable. That I agree with Rick on that one. With regard to the overtime, that's a budget mandatory management decision. Rick, you've got to make the decision on that one. Of course, everybody's looking for overtime because they're looking for money to spend. But at the same time, if we don't have the budget for it, we can't allow it to go through.
Well, in our budget for till June of 2022 has already been submitted. So we can't add any more to it right now for overtime. Most of that overtime is snow removal.
They just
There's
cut
like
$6,000 out of that, right?
$600 they took out.
Oh, 600 they took out.
600, yeah. And I talked to Mark a little bit too. Mark Donovan is the president of Little League, and they clearly couldn't, if they want to do it, if we were going to do this for this spring and early summer, they've already had the registration fees. They can't do it. If we were to do it and have them pay for it, I'm sorry, if Little League were to pay for it, they couldn't do it till fall. And then there's the Indians, Guilford Indians, which they only have a few teams. They probably don't have any money that they could pay for this unless they pass it on to their players and they raise their registration fees.
Rick, the only other thing I thought of is that if Little League took out an additional insurance policy on themselves, basically identifying us against any accident that may occur when they work on the fields, that might be a compromise. Is that possible?
It may be. I don't think I'm not sure there's really been an issue with the fields not being safe to play on. We are concerned if there are, like I said, 5 games on a weekend. We prepare the field on Saturday, and then by the third game on Saturday, you got that wear and tear area there. But according to our existing policy, we've allowed them to, fill in those holes, tamp them down, and whatever. I'm not really adverse to that.
Well, that's normal maintenance. I mean, that's just something simple they can do is just fill in the batter's box and the pitcher's mound and rake the field. That's not a problem. But like you say, if they're trying to pump the field clear of water, that's a problem.
Well, that's a problem. So here's part of the issue here. Tony always posts what overtime is available, and the Sting tournament, which is the softball tournament held the end of July, early August. He posts that sometimes 2 months in advance. Last year, nobody signed up for it. So I'm being totally transparent with you folks. And when I met with these guys, I pushed back. I said, there are times we offer you overtime and you don't take it. And he said, well, we don't have enough notice. You had two months notice. Tony tells you about the opening day of Little League. About the community picnic and fireworks. And they always sign up for that one. And about the Sting tournament. Nobody signed up to help with the Sting tournament last year. So we had nobody. I said, if I push for this to be a policy, the commission makes it a policy, that means you have to come in. Because how do I tell Little League or Sting, you can't work on the fields, only our guys can do it, and we have nobody coming in? Then what do? We just told them they can't do it, and we don't have anybody coming in. Their pushback to me was, well, you guys let us know on Thursday you need somebody on Sunday. I said, sometimes that happens if we have a rain out and there's a game on Sunday. We might ask you if you come in on Sunday morning, to get the field ready. They said, well, if we know that every 4th week it's our turn to come in, we know we're on the schedule, and we won't, schedule a trip that weekend or something. So it's a little bit, I'm in the middle here. I support the guys to some extent, but I also support allowing Little League to do certain work on the fields. And if it's one of those situations where it's a rain thing and we need them to come in, that's where they might push back and say, well, you only give us 2 days notice, we're not coming in. If we put them on call, we have to pay them something to be on call, even if they don't get called in. So we're kind of in a
What are we
catch-22
actually talking here, Rick? How much money are we actually talking? I mean, a couple of hours on a Saturday, right?
Yeah. Well, they have to get 3 hours by contract. If they come in, they guarantee 3 hours to come in. Well, that could be, depending on who it is. If it's one of our guys who's been around a long time, it's 3 hours is probably more like $180. If it's one of the newer guys, it might be $80. You know, it depends who's coming in. So somewhere, let's say, be 100 between, I don't say 100 to between $100 and $200 roughly.
Rick, if I can pipe in here. So what are we actually talking about? So if they have games on a Saturday, there would be a park and rec worker there for when? Like when to when?
Well, they play Saturday and Sunday. And well, that's a good question, Lawrence, because if they have games in the morning, then again in the afternoon, are we making the guy hang around for 8 hours? You know, to groom the field in between games. That now the cost is a lot more than just a few hours. I think maybe a compromise is maybe we do ask them to sort of be on call. You know, if it's 4 guys or 5 guys, whatever it is, once every 5 or 6 weeks. And then if we need them because of a rain situation, they go in. But I don't know. I'd have to work that out with Mitch. I don't know how you know, if you're on call, you got to kind of pay them something because, you know, they're giving up somewhere to be on call.
Yeah, if you require, like, if you restrict somebody's movement, like if you say you're on call this weekend and you got to be within, you got to get within there within an hour or whatever. In other words, if you restrict somebody's movement, you say, hey, you can't go up to Vermont this weekend because you're on call, you have to compensate them if you're going to restrict their movement. But I mean, it seems like it's coming from wrong, but it seems like it's working right now where they're only allowed to rake home plate and the pitcher's mound. Now, if these guys come in on Monday and there's more than that, the Little League did more what they were supposed to do, then that's an issue where you'd have to call them and say, look, cut it out, or you're not going to be able to use the field. You know, you mentioned before, I think you mentioned before they came in sometimes and they screw everything up, and then our park and rec guys have to, you know, correct what they did over the weekend. Well, if that's the case, then, you know, the Little League needs to be spoken to and say, you're not allowed to do that. You're only allowed to, you know, rake the home plate and the pitcher's mound. So are they doing more than they're supposed to?
There's actually, there is a clause in the policy. I'm just looking at it on the same pages that I sent you folks, just disciplinary action for field policy violations.
Yeah, I got it in front of me.
It's, you know, it could be $100 for the first infraction to $200 for a second. So, I mean, again, based on our policy, I guess if we say they can only, you know, tamp down the pitcher's mound and home plate and not take water off the field, and they do it, I guess technically we can fine them based on the policy.
I do, and I'm sorry if I missed this at the beginning of the conversation, but it seems to me like we're just talking about the fields at Adams, but there are other fields that kids play on. Like it's not
all Little League baseball, softball fields. So there are.
But I mean, if we're talking about one person, it's like, you know, covering. There's games going on at different locations at the same time.
That's the point. Yep, you're right.
You know, whether it's at Bittner or Lakes or I don't know.
Rick, was there did Little League bring this up again?
No, this came from the workers.
It was generated by our park maintenance guys. They initiated this conversation. Again, transparently, they want the overtime.
They want the overtime, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I can understand. I mean, it does seem easier for everybody if there are minor things that people can do to make, you know, as listed on this sheet, but then how does it work in practice if there's something else that needs to be done? Because I mean, the guys just get called in now, or, you know, what if that's on the day of, or do you know that beforehand? Something happens during a game, you know, I don't know.
It's my grandkids' toys.
I love these Zoom meetings. You know, you see a dog on the bed, you Jingle Bell Rock. It's great.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick, if I can ask a question?
Sure.
Rick, so the question is, they say they want overtime, but the question is, do you think it's necessary for a park and rec employee to come in and to work on the baseball fields? In other words, to change policy, and is it necessary, do you think, that these guys need to come in, or girls, to work on the fields? Is it necessary?
I think only
you know,
if it was,
past
I
experience.
think that it would be not necessary for the day-to-day stuff. I don't have a problem with the Little League volunteers filling in those homes and home plate and pitcher's mound. You know, that's not an issue, I don't think.
Which they've been doing which they've been doing for years, right?
Yes.
So,
I think
if they're-
rain's an issue. I think if they want to get a game in, we either tell them no. I mean, the answer is no. You can't play. The fields are wet, or we have to have a guy come in. You got to pay for it. And Terry, you make a good point. It's not just Adams. It could be Adams, Bidner, Baldwin. You know, I mean, it could be 6 or 8 fields. High school.
yeah. So my question is, they can't just say, well, we want the overtime. They need to justify why they would need to come in. You know what I'm saying? Like, or maybe they did. Like, you just can't say, well, we need the overtime. Well, you got to be able to justify why you would need to come in. Hey, like for the last 2 years, these fields been a mess. They've been screwing them up. We have to come in every Monday and you know, correct all the mistakes. I mean, if that's not the case, then you know what I'm saying? There's got to be, they have to have justification. If they've given you any justification why they should have to come in, you know what I mean? They just can't say, well, we want the overtime. I mean,
I think there may have been some occasions where they've seen it was obvious that somebody pushed water off the field. You might see the mud, you know, sitting on the grass, and then the grass starts dying out because the mud's been sitting on it, you know, all weekend.
so in that case, you notify Little League and say,
Yeah.
you know, either give them a verbal warning or go to disciplinary and fine them $100 or whatever. You know what I mean? And then, right? I mean, I don't know.
Hey, Rick, a
curious.
question for you, Rick. When we bring in our seasonal employees, do they have to work Monday through Friday? Can we have them work, say, like from Wednesday through Sunday, so that they would, the seasonal people would be able to cover the fields during the weekend?
Well, not a bad question, but then they have no supervision, and they're seasonal part-time guys. They don't have keys to the garage and to all the equipment. So I'm not sure that, you know, Tony would feel comfortable giving a new seasonal guy, part-time guy, access to all that stuff. And there's nobody supervising them.
And I'm not sure you would, I mean, it sounds like a great idea, but it might not be easy to fill those positions either if people know they have to work on a weekend, they have to commit to a weekend.
We have enough trouble anyway, you know, Monday.
Wasn't that one of our solutions last year? We tried to do that. We talked with Tony, we talked with Mitch about changing schedules. Maybe it wasn't a seasonal worker, and obviously not Tony, but one of our full-time employees changing their schedule. We talked to Mitch about all of that when we went through this whole conversation about Little League and fields and the issue we had with the president and Matt, was we did look at, do we change someone's schedule? And I can't for the life of me remember now why Mitch poo-pooed that idea. I'm pretty sure it was Mitch that said no.
I think if we did it, there might have to be a pay differential, because now somebody's got to come in on Saturday. Their schedule changes. It's Tuesday through Saturday instead of Monday through Friday. Yeah, I don't know. As far as getting seasonal guys, we have not much success getting part-time workers as it is. And if that was a change schedule, I think it'd be hard.
It seems like a pay differential for that day though has got to be less than, you know, planning on weekly overtime during the season though, but you know.
Again, I think one of the things generating this too is they know in Madison what their policy is, and you know, volunteers can't work on the fields. It has to be parks guys, and it's kind of like, well, how come we're not doing that? So that's, I think, also one of the things driving this a little bit. I want to step back. They're good guys. I don't think they're just trying to be greedy and say, hey, we just want more overtime. They also know they get paid a lot less than the Madison guys do. I mean, our guys are way underpaid. And I know the GEA is trying to work on that a little bit. I mean, I'm talking about a big difference. And then on top of that, they know that they get paid more, plus they get overtime. How come we don't get something? And so there's a lot of things, a lot of issues.
Understandable.
And I totally get all of that, but we also have to understand Madison is a very different town. and budget wise and how they do their taxes and everything. And so we can't, I know that we always compare surrounding towns, but we really can't compare surrounding towns because their budget is completely different. Where they spend their money and how they spend their money is very different than Guilford.
Mhm.
And that's not to poo-poo Guilford or Madison, but they are very different budgets.
Yeah.
When it says here that volunteers may perform field maintenance if they have, if they have been properly trained. I mean, is there anyone actually trained now? Like, how would that be? There is, Claire? Are you shaking your head? Yes.
Tony met with a bunch of them. I don't remember again if it was last year or the year before. He took them out and he showed a bunch of volunteers how you rake it, how you do this, what the supplies are, where they're kept.
But it seems
That was
would
part
have
of
to be
the,
done each year. I mean, because there's new families coming in and new, I mean, I know some people, are there for years in a row, but it seems like something to make sure that people remain aware of it, because other
Mhm.
people coming in may not even realize they're doing something wrong. They think they're being helpful, when I think at the beginning of the season that, okay, however Little League figures out who the volunteers that would be able to do it would be, they have to have a, little training with Tony or something.
I don't know what happened, Rick, last year, because what year are we? We're
Well,
2021.
last year was.
So last year, I don't know what happened. So it
Yeah.
must have been our conversation 2019 when we had the Little League president and lots of chat with Matt.
Mhm.
And Tony met with everybody. He met with Guilford Indians travel team. He met with Little League. He had volunteers from each of them. He trained them. Last year with COVID, I have no idea what happened. I do recall, because we did play baseball for travel and Little League. And I do recall parents, coaches, certain coaches would check home plate.
Yeah.
I don't recall anyone doing anything other than that. But again, I don't know if they were trained last year by Tony because of COVID.
Yeah, because
But
I would remember similar things, but it was softball. It was different, but I remember that. But even if yes, last year was so crazy, so I wouldn't count it as that. But I think if we're going that direction, then it should be, part of the deal when you're using the fields, that you have a certain number or whatever of volunteers who would be available to do these specific things.
I agree with that.
So we're going round and round here, but we're not making much headway here.
Fair, that makes sense to me. That makes total sense. That should just be a protocol, that there is just a little bit of training. Right?
I mean, not to be a stick in the mud here, but I really don't understand why we're having this conversation. They just cut our overtime budget. So we really can't do anything.
Exactly. They cut our overtime budget, and here we are looking to get more overtime. That's going to go over like a lead balloon. Let's be honest.
I mean, I'm happy to give Tony and his guys the extra work because I love them. I think they do a great job. The fields always look amazing. My kid plays on them 12 games a weekend. So I see them and I've been to other fields. However, it's kind of a moot point right now since Board of Selectmen cut our overtime budget. I do think we should revisit with Tony about meeting with Little League and Guilford Travel. It's called Guilford Travel now. They dropped the Indians. To make sure that people are trained on the few things that we have discussed and allowed and outlined them to do.
Right.
Like a coach from each team needs to be trained or something. There's got to be some guidelines, but that's really, our hands are tied. We can't pay them.
So can we assume the consensus is that we cannot pay these guys to come in for overtime? Is that basically what you all are saying?
If I could say on a
Kind of what
regular
we've been
basis,
told.
we still do pay them when they come in for like Little League opening day. That's just something we got to do.
No, I understand that. I'm just talking about, regular overtime,
Regular.
what we're talking about here. So, is that basically the consensus here? Is there anyone who thinks that's not the consensus? Let me help me out here.
I'm just saying, if it's necessary, then if it's necessary to have them come in, then we pay the overtime. If it's not necessary, then it's not necessary.
And when does it, and to me, coming from an insurance standpoint, it's a general liability necessity. So it comes down to that. It comes down to, are you going to have a volunteer fixing a hole when really that responsibility falls on, right?
Well, that's when we would have to call them in. If it's,
So when the town says, what I always foresee and I always worry about is, okay, so the town can come back when we do the budget next year and say, oh, well, look, you had no overtime. You didn't need any overtime. So now we're not approving any overtime. It starts just becoming a cycle. Then all of a sudden, all you see is all our fields deteriorating because now nobody can have overtime. I just foresee that happening. So.
Rick, I just say we keep doing what we're doing. And when you send out letters every year to the Little League, just emphasize they are not to do anything but rake home plate and the pitcher's mound. If they do anything else, we're not going to be happy. And they're subject, and
or they're just
refer
not
to
allowed to do anything else because of liability reasons.
Yeah, well, just refer to the, where they can
Policy.
be penalized. Just emphasize they're not to do anything
Right.
except home plate and pitcher's mound. And if anything's beyond that, notify Parks and Rec, and Rick will notify one of the workers and have them come on overtime.
But that's different than what the policy says right now, because the policy
Right.
said there'll be people trained by Parks and Rec to do other
Right.
maintenance. I have no idea what that is. So it would have to be changed, or, if we're deciding that shouldn't be an option, that they really only can do those smaller things, that would have to change it.
Or like Claire
Well-
said, maybe 2 years ago they were trained, but like this past season, just because of everything going on, nobody really knows if anybody was
Well,
shown.
and But also since then, right, isn't there the new, I don't know when the board of Little League changed, but I mean, there's different people in there
Yeah.
and there's different coaches and,
All the
kids coming
time.
up. So
Yep.
it does warrant, making this all clear, and then,
Absolutely.
Well, the
Yeah, Rick,
president-
I'm pretty sure the whole board changed this year, or the majority of the players
yeah,
changed.
it did.
Well, Mark Donovan is president still, I think. And he was president for like years. He left for a few years. He's back. He actually was on the committee to vote this policy.
Right.
So he understands it. And I think, let's leave it as it is. The policy, I think, makes sense. The extra training that Tony had given was to make sure they don't take a broom or a squeegee and push puddles off, because that's what made more damage. He showed them how to use like a little pump, a bilge pump, to get the water off. That's how our guys do it. And let's leave it at that. And there are times we brought guys in for the high school. They had high school had a game, not last spring, I think, because I don't think they played, but they paid. We charged them. The high school would have to pay us to bring guys in on a weekend to get a field ready. So, those are some of the instances that the guys complained about. You let us know on Thursday, you want us on Saturday. Well, it rained Friday. We didn't know. You can't schedule that. So I could talk to Mitch about the other idea. If and maybe that goes into the GEA contract that they're negotiating now. If guys have to be kept on call for whatever reason, we anticipate a weekend or whatever, that, maybe there's some differential they get, for being on call. But that'd have to be a contractual thing. I don't think that's a decision. So,
you know what, that's the way to approach it. Tell them that, they need to work through their union to see if they can't. Well, they're not are they part-time part of the union?
part-time one, no, but the full-time guys are.
Well,
Yeah.
let them work through the union and see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, are we all good with this now? All right, then let's move on.
We're at where we
Our
started.
next lengthy discussion, which is going to be the request from Ed Green for Rush Soccer to charge admission fees to their women's soccer games.
So I can narrow that down just really to a couple sentences. So basically, they want to use Binder Field, which isn't a problem. We can schedule that for them. They're a for-profit group, so we have a fee schedule that is geared toward that. But they want to charge a fee, and that's the thing. I said, I got to check with the commission on that, a policy on that, because what they're saying though, the high school, when they have games at Bittner, the high school charges a fee for people to come and watch the game. There's not a fee to get into the park. They set up somewhere near the field, and if somebody's going for that game, Guilford High School charges an admission fee. If somebody wants to use a skate park or playground, there's no fee, but it's for the game. So Rush is saying, well, just the high school charges a fee. I think it's different. It's it's a high school versus a for-profit organization. So
It's not even a comparison in my book. That's not even That's not even an apples to apples comparison.
it's not. So,
don't
but
think
they're
so.
asking if they can charge a fee, and I said, you know what, I can't make that decision. That's got to really be a policy on the commission. Right now, anybody who wants to use our facility, even if they pay a fee to use the facility, they don't charge somebody to come into it.
No, I think my view on that is that you're just setting that up for other groups to come back and say, well, now they charge a fee, so why can't we charge a fee? And then it just becomes a big, my opinion, I'm not for that at all.
I'll second
Rick, I
that.
thought it was already in our policy that they could not charge a fee.
I have to look at that. I don't have that whole policy here. I don't know. But if it is, they're asking for an exception. So,
He
Yeah,
asks for a lot of
I agree
exceptions.
with Diane, and they're that's open up a can of worms.
I think so. And then especially it's Bittner Park. So there's so many entities to
did
Bittner
everybody
Park.
just freeze?
No, you did though.
Hello?
You froze, Rick.
Can everybody hear me? I see everybody.
I can
but
hear you.
I don't see
hear
any
you.
movement.
But you're frozen taking your glasses off.
I think something just froze up.
At least he's not picking his nose.
Might be, but we don't know.
You gotta love Zoom calls. Hmm.
All right, trying to find policies here.
Yeah, Claire, that would make sense too, to have that in a policy.
Mhm.
I thought it was discussed when
Yeah.
that whole group did it. I thought there was something in that they couldn't charge a fee for profits. The nonprofits, the schools charging it, that goes back to the actual
Right.
that sports specific team for uniforms, for referees or whatever, because not everything is supported by the
Right.
Board of Education.
Ed.
So
That makes
but I
sense.
think a for-profit, I don't really feel that they need to
you know.
charge.
They could pass the hat, they pass the hat.
Yep.
May I ask, what's the difference if people charged or not? I mean, why are we so against it?
I lost all you guys for a few minutes. Did you guys all this get disconnected?
No, just
Nope.
you.
Just you.
Oh, yeah, I lost everybody. I lost the internet for like maybe 2 minutes. Okay, I'm back.
It said that Laura Hartman was the coast.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was rather excited. I was gonna mute you all. No,
The-
so
the-
my question is, I don't have an opinion either way because I don't understand why couldn't somebody charge admission?
Well,
Why
if
is-
they're gonna charge to play on our fields, then we should get a cut of it. And I don't think we want to go down that road.
Oh, they don't pay us to use the field?
They pay
Whoa,
us
whoa,
to
whoa,
use the
whoa,
field.
stop. We are already getting a cut of it because they are renting the field.
That's right.
They're
Right.
not
Okay.
getting the field for free.
They're not getting it for
Correct.
free.
Oh, no, they're not getting free, but if they're gonna charge over and above that, I mean, they're using Guilford's fields, then the town of Guilford, we have an obligation, for the taxpayers to get a cut of that.
I don't buy that.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, but tell me why. I'm willing to change my mind, but
Hey, John, Sting tournament, they don't charge people admission to come to those games, do they?
Nope, they do not.
So it's a similar thing. It's a for-profit group, I think, and they pay to use the field, but they don't charge admission for people to come in.
What they charge is they charge the team an admission to be a part of the tournament.
Right.
Right, and that's why this is different, because he's saying they're not charging these
Yeah,
players.
they're not charging the people. I'm looking at the policy and I don't see anything in there. They're not charging the people
In
who are
this league.
playing. Because they want to, build the league, is it?
I'm losing everybody again. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Frozen again.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Everyone was just frozen. Everyone was just frozen in place and I couldn't hear anybody. I must be having some issues with my Wi-Fi.
yeah, it might be the wind.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
thing is too is like,
they're not charging the women to play.
Yes, they are charging the team. We are charging the Rush team
We
a
are.
fee for using the field.
I understand that. I'm saying Rush is not charging the women who are playing. In other words, the
Yes,
women
they
are.
do.
No,
Yes,
they're
they do.
not. In this
No, they're
letter,
not. It
they're
says so
not.
in the letter
No,
here.
no, you have to understand, Rush, in order to be a part of the Rush team, you pay to be a part of the Rush program.
But this is a separate thing, I thought,
This
from
is-
the letter.
All this is,
United Women's League.
this is just like travel soccer for younger kids, except these are women rather than children. Okay, this is an elite travel team for adult women who play other elite traveled adult women teams, and they're looking for a place to play. Generally, if they come to a location, because of the fact that it is an elite program, they charge an admission. The admissions is something nominal, somewhere between the $3 to $7. But the idea is that they do this up at Beehive Stadium up in New Britain. They do this. I forgot what the name of the other field was over in Fairfield, but they do charge. I mean, it's.
But John, it says right here in the letter, our
Well,
Connecticut Rush youth teams are
Yep.
paid for play. However, we will not be charging anything for any of the women to play on this team.
Yeah.
The goal is to provide a first-rate experience for all the women in a professionally
Okay.
run organization. So I mean,
Well,
it's right in the letter that they're not.
And that's a different spin than what I'm familiar with in the past. I confess I'm wrong there. Okay.
It sounds like they're trying to just offer this opportunity for college age women to be able to, play in a high level league. And yeah, he does say they're not charging now to be on it. On the
But
team.
Rick,
Well,
Rick,
that comes to a different thing. That comes what they call a showcase, where they will bring college eligible players to come out and play before college coaches. That happens all the time in softball. It happens all the time in baseball as well. But I don't think that's what they're talking about.
But Rick, my question, so I'm looking at the field facility reservation form that we have. Now, whether I'm looking at an old one, there's a line on there that asks, are you charging admission?
So then that means that we are not.
What date is on that, Diane?
I know, that's what I'm looking at it online, so I'm trying to find out what the date is on here.
I think that I don't know if the newer one's online or not, because that field policy that we had the one page of in our packet
Yeah,
is part of the newest
Yeah.
thing.
yeah, I don't see a date
So it's
on
from
here.
2 summers ago or something.
Yeah, it just like, it's the first page and it's like halfway down. It says estimated number of attendees. Are you charging admission? And then they ask for the fee charged.
Right. I'm looking, I don't see a date on it either.
Yeah, I don't see a date on it.
Is that on,
I just lost it.
where is it on the website?
I'm not on the website. I actually just Googled like charging a fee for Guilford Park and Rec field use, and that's the form that came up. So
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm not on the,
good one.
All right,
like I said, I could be reading an old one.
I'm looking in my notebook.
Because I actually just.
So I guess the bottom line is whether.
I
we
lost
have
you
a
all again.
policy- whether we have a policy that says, yes, you can charge, or no, you can't charge. And
Mhm.
if we have no policy at all, my question to you is, why is everybody so against somebody like that charging? And how is that opening a can of worms? I don't understand that thought process. I can come to you and fully understand, but nobody's, I just want
So-
to know why.
So, and I should know this answer, but I guess I don't. So if someone wants to rent the Bittner Park field, okay, can someone have a huge craft fair going on that field and charge people for tables and charge admission, or is it just solely has to be related to sporting events?
Well, my gut would tell me that we would not allow that to happen, because by doing that, you're going to ruin the field.
Correct.
that's, you go to the town green for that, so we
Right.
would not put anything on there that was going to ruin the field.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
just
I,
gotta
if Rick-
see-
before we, I would say Rick would, the town attorney would have to be notified this and, to see what he thinks of it. That's something that would come under him. I mean, like I said, the gut feeling is if they're
Why?
renting, if they're using the town property and if they're gonna make money charge, then I can't imagine that the taxpayers of Guilford shouldn't get a cut of that over and above the fee that they're, I mean, how much does it cost to rent the field? $200?
Thereabouts.
All right, so you're telling me for $200, it's gotta be, if you could figure it out, it's more than $200 to use that field, the wear and tear on it. $200 is nothing. To have Parks and Recs maintain that field for a year. I just can't imagine that.
Back on?
I don't know if we have Rick or not.
I'm
I'm on phone because I've lost you on my computer.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you
Can you hear me? If I turn off my phone, can you hear me on the computer? Because I'm not
Yeah.
showing up.
Yes, we can hear you.
You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I keep losing you guys because of the Wi-Fi. So if it happens again, I'll have my phone.
Okay, so you can hear us?
I can.
Okay.
I'm on the website, and granted, I'm on my phone looking at it, but
I'll move my phone out of the way.
Rick should hang up one or the other.
All right, I just move my phone out of the way. Is that better?
Yeah.
I can't find the field fees or anything on there. I mean, I know it's a new website and I'm using my phone, but I can't find any of the policies or the forms.
No, I'm looking.
Yeah, it's not on there. I actually had emailed, I was looking back through my emails with Ellen, because I had someone someone at a school request information about something about fields, and I found the policy. It is not on the website.
No, it's in the policy, and it depends, it's, your priority is priority 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a private group is priority 5. And we're talking a grass field. So we're talking $100 an hour. And lights $30 an hour.
Hey, Rick, I think if you can turn off your computer, I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a lot of
Yeah.
echoing. Yeah.
Are you still getting? I just moved my phone.
Rick, stay on the phone, but then get off your laptop or whatever your device you're on for.
No, he just needs to shut his phone off because
Or
we can
just-
hear
yeah.
you fine through the computer without your video. We can hear
I'll
you
shut off
fine
my
on the
phone.
computer.
Yeah, I'll shut off the phone because it's being recorded. If I shut off the computer, the recording goes down. It may
Right.
be
Oh,
messed up
that's
anyway
true.
because I keep
Sorry.
losing you. All right. Is it still a problem now? Because I moved my phone to a different place.
That's better.
No, it's okay now.
All right. I just wanted to keep it in case I lose you again. At least I can jump on the phone.
I forgot we were recording.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the policy, I think Rose was starting to say, the fees are, there are a lot of different categories. If you're a resident team or a tournament or, a for-profit team, your grass field versus turf field, there are a lot of different fees. They're varied, but basically it's, I think it's $40 an hour for
Category 5.
$100 an hour. I think
Profit.
a synthetic
Well,
turf
that's right.
field.
One-time use. Why does it say one-time use $100 an hour?
That's the turf field, right?
No.
That was grass field.
Oh, but is it a for-profit, not a nonprofit?
No,
I don't
no,
have-
it's listed, town and then 2 to 5 and then one-time use. So that must be for,
Yeah.
I don't know, a special.
Yeah, I don't know what that would be.
I have to have that in front of me to
But
look at
anyway,
it.
they're a private for-profit. So I take that
Yeah.
back. $40 an hour. Turf field would be 80, and the lights would still be 30 an hour.
The bottom line is they are paying fees, and they did say they're looking at other locations too. It's not a bad thing for them to come because, when Rush used to be here on a regular basis, we took in over, I think, $20,000 or $30,000 from them that went back into field repairs. We don't have them now, so basically nobody's paying to use fields for anything. They were really our only one, other than maybe an occasional tournament or something, or like Sting. Sting is paying, I think, $1,000 for their tournament on the weekend. But other than that, we don't have any paid users. So I think there's some advantage to having them play in Guilford because there's money coming into the town that goes into our account that can help pay for field expenses. If we don't get the money in the budget, we get money that we had in reimbursables set up specifically for field repairs. It came from groups paying to use the fields.
Do we know why they're not charging the women? Is this just to build it up? Do we have any idea why they're
No
not?
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's,
That would be useful to know.
yeah.
That's how I read it,
Yeah.
that they weren't charging this year so that they could build this program, because this is the
Yeah.
first time, this is the initiation. They're trying to see if they even get people.
I wouldn't mind allowing them to do this and allowing them to charge it with the understanding that we are doing this to help them build the program, but we're not going to be doing this every year.
So, once you open that door, it's over.
No, I don't think so. We still have to say.
Rick,
No,
I don't know if you heard me before. Rick, I don't know if you heard me before, but I recommend you contact the town attorney and run that by him.
Whether or not they could charge, you mean?
Yeah, whether it's that and whether it's in the best interest of the town to allow it.
So now I kind of like when you say, so, when I think about it now, so I shouldn't have been so quick to say, no, I mean, I don't think it's a good idea, but on the other side of it, I always try to see both sides. If it's an organization that is, we're grateful that they're paying us to use our fields. If they're running out of money, or if this is the only way they're going to be able to support their team, to be able to pay us to use the fields, I see that side too. But I just, for some reason, seem to think it's just and you can't just allow one group and not another group. So I don't know.
I think we are still not clear what our policy is. I've got the
Yeah.
form from the town website and it does ask, are you charging a fee and
Yes.
fee charged?
Okay,
So that's there. So either our policy says yay or nay.
right.
If we had a chat function, I'd drop it in, but there's no chat on here. And then as a group, we can decide whether we agree or not. I'm okay to not charge. I just don't understand
Right.
what the big deal is.
Right, and like you said, it is on, so I'm probably looking at a current form, because it is on the form, so that, right, you said we need to look at the policy.
You know what, in the field use policy, which I do have up here, it doesn't say anything about charging or not charging.
I couldn't find it either.
Well, it's not on, I have it in an email. I mean, I don't think I can.
No,
That's the
there's
thing.
no
I think
chat.
the form that they have, Tara, is the old form, because I don't
Yeah.
think on the new form, it was multiple pages. It was front and back. I don't think it's on our website, our new updated
That's what I'm saying.
website.
It's not on
Yeah.
the website. The new form is not on the website. So what I am looking at is that revised policy, but it doesn't say anything about a guideline or restriction on charging. It doesn't say anything about charging fees.
So
Either way.
what
We
does
may
the-
have discussed this at a commission meeting when the policy was being developed, and it might be
don't-
in the minutes as to why the decision was made.
I was on that. I mean, granted, it was a couple of years ago, but wasn't that much on, and I don't ever remember talking about that. We
No.
completely just talked about the cost, the charging to rent the fields by different groups and organizing that. We did not talk about organizations.
This
charging for entrance.
this is a new situation that we have
Yeah,
not encountered before.
But if we filled out, if whoever made the form put the question, are you charging? The implication
But
is
I
that
don't-
you can charge.
It's not a new form though, Rose. I believe that
No,
the
I'm
form-
saying the old form.
Yeah, you know, one thing, this is a side note, but what would be really helpful, since we all get confused about the forms, like someone has to start putting dates on the forms.
Yes.
So we know, because this, I'm looking on this new field use policy thing, it doesn't have a date on it either. I just know it's
Yeah,
the
there
one.
should always be dates on
Be
forms,
a date.
in
So
my experience.
where
And
can
is-
we get a hold of the new application to use a field?
I'd have him in the office.
All right, so why don't you get that out to us?
And the policies
Yeah.
that you're talking about are in that big notebook that we were given?
Right,
Okay,
Yeah.
which of course is in the office right now. I know exactly where it is, but I'm not there. Okay.
but I can't see anywhere where it just is whether or not we could allow somebody to,
It doesn't.
charge. I mean, the high school charges when they use it, but then they're also part of the town.
Yeah, and like Claire said, that's really that's not even really a comparison because
No.
those,
Like, you know, if it's a matter of just trying to build up a team and, you know, I feel like maybe we should help them out.
yeah,
but-
support that, absolutely. But I mean,
Well,
if somebody's looking to make thousands and thousands of dollars, I don't know why, that just doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, well, I don't think we're looking to do that.
No, but who
Well,
knows?
don't forget the town has the Little Folks Fair and other folks on other programs on the green where admission is charged to enter into the perimeter of the green. You know, you just can't walk onto the green during these
Right.
programs.
Right.
So there is a precedent for town property at charging an admissions fee. So I don't see it that is an issue as whether or not we could or could not. It's just that he wants to know if he can, and if we can give him permission to do it.
So if we can just look at the policy, Rick, we'll have to just look at that.
You know, I can't imagine very many people showing up for this. I would think more people would show up for Guilford High School Madison game than they would for this.
I agree with you, John. That's why I think, you know, if that's how he needs to make the money to pay for the field, that may be what this $5 is all about.
That's what I think he's doing. He's just trying to cover his costs of the rental of the field.
Yeah,
Well, the cost of the referees, I think he says in there too. He's got to pay the refs and he's not charging it to
Right.
play. So he's trying to
Ref-
figure out, you know.
Yeah,
how-
I forgot about the referees. The referees will probably cost about another $200 in fees.
he does it.
And-
He's hoping the admission fees will cover the cost of the referees and the field rental.
And the revenue to us is worthwhile having. Is that right,
Mhm.
Rick? Isn't that what you said before?
Yes.
The revenue to us. So we don't
Yeah.
want to discount that because our revenues are down as, you know, because they are.
So just a straw vote. How many people would be in favor of allowing them to let them do this?
I will say I can't. I'd want to look at the policy. I don't know why,
Okay, and how many are adamantly against this? How many say, no, we really shouldn't?
I'm not adamantly against it anymore. Not adamantly. Mm-mm.
I'm not adamantly against it either, but I do think we have to think about how we say okay, meaning that things will
Yeah,
come
I
up in
agree.
the future. So I think in this scenario, it might be like, yeah, we should do that since he's saying it's to cover the referees and the field rental fee and they're starting this thing, but I think we just need to be careful. It's sort of like thinking back about the benches. We ultimately had to put in a policy so people knew from the beginning what the rules are. And as far as I can tell, and remember, there's no mention of charging in our field use policy, and that is probably something that should be looked at.
I would say it was a loophole that we didn't discuss because we didn't
'Cause it didn't
anticipate
come up.
anybody asking for a
So-
fee to cover
Yeah,
their.
So now it's coming up. So I think it's
we
something.
should address it. I'm okay with it for this group, but I think just as long as we have an actual policy that or, you know, something,
And-
because I don't want to open
Well,
the door.
and I also think that if we say yes, that we need to, like Tara's saying, we need to have a policy, but we also need to lay the groundwork of, you can't charge someone at the front of Bittner. You can only charge at the gate to enter the soccer
Okay.
field, and only
Right.
those people, because
Right.
I think people sometimes, even when it's posted on Facebook, people think, well, I'm not paying to go into Bittner.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's, you're paying to go into that particular game. Like, I think you have to make sure that the wording and he understands where they're allowed to set up and accept the money and whatnot. So that,
Yeah.
because there's going to be a lot of other stuff going on too.
Well, he
Yeah,
does
Alicia-
say they're gonna set up tables at the two corners of the field closest to the parking lot, and they can charge admission to the game, but not obstruct entry into a public park.
Right. Alicia Scranton from the high school has pretty much standardized the program as to how they charge for admission for the high school soccer games. And yeah, all they have to do is just follow the same pattern that they do at the high school.
Yeah.
Just if I want to just to keep one thing in mind here is that this could open up a can of worms, like some of you mentioned. You know, the Soccer Fest brings 50 teams in from all over to New England. They don't charge. They may start saying, "Well, gee, we want to start charging people to use the fields," and they, they're using 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 different fields in town. Little League, when they host tournaments, are they going to start saying, "Well, we want to charge for people to come to our tournaments"?
That's what I'm afraid of.
You don't have to
I'm
worry.
afraid of happening.
You don't
if we
have
do it,
you don't have
we
to
may
worry
get
about
other.
Little League. Little League is prohibited from charging admission for any of their programs.
True, but Soccer Fest might. Lacrosse might. There are lacrosse tournaments. I don't know if they charge people. They play at the high school. I'm not aware if they charge anybody to get in. I don't know if youth football charges on Sunday mornings when they use the high school field. For their games. I don't know if they do. They never asked. Maybe they do, and we don't know. So anyway, just we got to keep that in mind. Whatever we decide here.
But
So if people charge, the only reason you don't like it is because you think we should get a cut of it. Is that right? Is that the only issue with people charging?
Well, that's what I'm saying is that,
I don't
think about this,
understand
Rick.
what's-
So
who
Rick,
cares
this has
if they
never
charge?
happened. Rick, this has never happened before where people charged for the sporting event. This has never happened before. I take it.
Not that I'm aware of. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Okay,
If
so the
yeah.
bottom line is, if we're gonna start doing this, before we allow it, we have to come up with a policy, if we are indeed gonna do it. We have to have a policy written down, and then if we do it, then we move forward from there. And again, I repeat, I don't know, I'm not an attorney, but I just think it's opened up a can of worms, and this is something that we should definitely
Yeah, I think
Run
from a
by the
legal
town
standpoint,
attorney.
it needs to have legal advice, a little bit of legal advice.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't imagine. It's something doesn't seem right.
Didn't we worked with the Fields Committee to come up with the policy, right?
we did.
Yeah.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we contact them again and see if we can get a sit down with them and see what they think as well?
Yeah, again, I before doing that, I would contact the town attorney before we go.
I
any
just
further.
lost you all again. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
can-
Yeah.
I think we'll grab my phone.
I just recommend before we start any policy talk that we run this by the town attorney before we waste our
Are you
time.
there?
Yeah.
Yes, we're here, Rick.
And I think the wind is doing something with my internet.
Yeah, it's windy out there.
Yeah. Okay. Now I hear you again.
I should go
I'm
see if
sorry.
my husband's okay. He's in the driveway snow blowing.
Yeah.
Send him
Maybe
to-
I'll wait a few more minutes.
All right, so I think what I heard is I'll contact Pete Barrett, get his input. I'll contact the field committee, see what they think about it, and and then I guess we could put it off to March, I guess, because they're not going to be playing till May anyway, so we have a little time.
Yeah.
It's June. Oh,
Do you want to do that? You want to table a decision till our
Yeah,
next
let's
meeting?
find out the information we need.
Okay.
What if they decide they want to go elsewhere because we can't make up our minds?
Oh, well. Oh,
I'm
well,
just
they go
wondering,
someplace
are we
else.
okay with the loss of revenue
I
if they
know.
decide to go elsewhere?
Well, we're not getting revenue now because they haven't been playing here. This used to be their home field, the playing in Guilford. They kind of
Moved on.
They went to the Sportsplex and stopped coming here. So they're just kind of asking again, can we come back at least for this particular program? But yeah, like I said, I think over the years, we got about $30,000 from them.
Yeah.
I think even with that though, Laura, like it's something to consider, but I still think we can't just open, like, we should know what we're doing before we say yes.
Yeah, before
Oh,
we get.
I 100%
so
agree.
I think like, let them know, it's not that it's just been tabled. It's like, we haven't,
Right.
we don't have a policy for that. It's not saying no, it's just
Right.
saying, okay, we want to do this the
Do
right
it
way.
the right way. We want to
But
figure
no,
this out the right way. Yes.
No, I agree 100%. It's just no one could tell me why we wanted to say no. That's what I was getting at before, and that we didn't have a policy, and it opens a can of worms, and I don't understand, well, what's so big about the can of worms? So once I understand that, then I might be the first one to go, hell no, we're not paying. They're not paying. But I have no information to guide me in that decision at all.
Yeah. Like,
That's why I was asking the questions.
All right, so we'll table that until our next meeting. And meanwhile, Rick will get us the information we need.
Okay.
All right. Which brings us now to our beach fees, and we're going to add a little something to that, and that is our boat racks as well. So, do we want to keep the fees the same?
well, Claire, so like so I'm kind of like having a problem with beach fees, because if the money isn't coming to us for beach fees, why are we even discussing this?
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to be blunt about that, but that's just how I feel about it.
Well, we have a revenue budget that goes for the general fund, and in that revenue budget that goes to general fund, not to programs,
Mhm.
are boat racks, beach fees, pavilion rentals, community center room rentals, and used to be the fee we charge for somebody to sell ice cream at Jacob's Beach. They took that away. It's free now. Anybody can come there and sell whatever they want. Town gets nothing out of it anymore. But so that's been established, for a long, long time, that those fees go to the general fund. So we're committed to, I don't know, I don't have my budget in front of me, but I think it may be $123,000 that we contribute to the general fund through revenue sources. And those are and one of them is the beach passes. This past year, we eliminated the daily fee because of the whole COVID thing. We, there is some good about not collecting money, cash. Not only because of COVID, but the transfer station, because somebody was stealing money from there, they don't allow cash anymore. You have to pay by credit card. Cash is not even an option there. We still have been allowing it. I don't have any reason to think that any of our beach staff were taking money. I have no reason to think that, believe that. But it does make some sense in a way not to collect cash, because I've always been concerned, especially at Quantapug. We got those young people up there by themselves in that kiosk, and they may have $200 or $300.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Pop them on the head and run off with it. So
especially during the times now, people are desperate. People are desperate.
There's some value in going away from cash. Believe me, I'm not big on cash to society. I love paying cash still. I don't like using a credit card, but I'm old fashioned. But I think the bigger question is, do we eliminate the daily fees? We did it this year. If somebody came, they had to buy a season pass. We did not have a daily fee. We made a lot of money this year. I think probably $85,000, which is maybe $20,000 more than was budgeted. Because again, keep in mind that didn't include Lake Quantapug. It was just Jacob's Beach. And we restricted how many people could be out there. Remember, we had to have people every 15 feet apart, and the max we could get out there was like 250 people or something. But we were getting people from New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey. They were coming to our beach because they couldn't get into Hammonasset. They were shutting down at 9 a.m. They were driving a long way. They were paying the $70 to get in.
But in just looking at this though, Rick, I mean, they were paying the $70 to us get in, but they could come back the next weekend if they wanted to, because it was a pass. Whereas in Madison or Clinton, they would have had to pay it again the next weekend.
Right.
So it's actually, in comparison, except for Branford, I mean, it's a super good deal for them.
Yeah, I mean, chances they were coming back from New York are probably, they might have been coming.
Well, they're not. but they're not. But I mean, in theory, you could, whereas if you went to,
Right.
then you would pay $75 2 weekends in a row,
Right.
or 2
But-
weekends in the summer, you know?
And who
Right.
knows, I mean, by this summer, the beaches could be open. Jones Beach should open up. Why would they come here?
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hopefully it was a one season issue.
Yeah, I think,
I know, Ellen got this information, but I'm pretty sure Madison has non-residents too, but that's not in here, so, I'd have to get that information. I asked her to put this together, but I'm
So
pretty
I don't
sure
think
that,
you have non-resident passes. I think that you have to pay the daily fee in Madison,
Maybe.
$25 or $40 if you're non-resident. I don't
maybe
think
that's,
I
maybe
think
that's
so
what it
too.
is.
pass.
Yeah, I think that's right.
But if you look at Clinton charges $75 for a daily fee. We were charging, Ellen doesn't have this. We were charging, I think it was $20 resident, $40 resident.
Auto, not in my lane. To get Android Auto and a Honda CR-V can cost a lot more. And a RAV4.
The weirdest meetings.
Oh, I don't know. Something's going on here. It's haunted or something.
Hey, Rick,
I'm
Rick, what you're,
fine with
what
not
you're
having a
saying
daily
is,
fee.
Rick, what you're saying is what you did last summer, you like it, it's working well. Is that correct?
yes,
works-
Ellen likes the fact of not having the daily fee, the
I'm
daily pass.
totally fine with that.
It's to work
It's too
better.
complicated. Just make it straight, because I don't think that the yearly pass is that much. I mean,
yeah,
it
I
hasn't
agree.
changed
Right.
in a long time.
However, her recommendation is that we increase it to $100 for a non-resident and 50 for a non-resident senior or military.
Didn't we discuss this last year? Rick, couldn't we not charge a certain amount because we got state funds for our beach? Wasn't there a threshold?
The rules are the law is that you can't charge more than double for non-residents what you charge residents. However, somehow Clinton got around that. Their lawyer found some loophole in it or something. I'll also tell you, I spoke with Scott Erskine, my counterpart in Madison. He said they are probably not going to go up in fees this year because so many people are strapped this year with what happened with COVID. People are out of work or underemployed or whatever. They're not going to raise their fees this year. So it's something we might want to think about, because Ellen's suggesting that with the boat racks too, that we raise them. I'm wondering if this year is maybe not a good year to do that.
But she's talking about the non-resident fees.
Yeah,
and I
she's talking about raising the fees just for the non-residents.
non-resident fees, right?
Well,
But
right,
I don't-
but I'm sure we can do that unless we raise the resident fees.
Right, so
but-
we need to find the loophole.
Yeah.
But in Madison, does Madison have that restriction about getting state money? Because they're charging their residents $40 and then they would charge me $40 every weekend to go. So that seems like a way around. I don't know.
Well,
I
no-
think in order to decide if we're going to raise our non-resident fee, we need to know how the other towns like Clinton did that. Because we've been told every year when we have this discussion, we have the same discussion every year.
Yeah.
We changed it to get rid of the daily fees. We have the non-resident, we made that 70, it used to be 50. But we were always told we can't go any higher than double the resident. We don't want to extend the residents anymore because they're already taxed
Right.
enough in Guilford, and we're already at $35, which is more than all, except for Madison. We need to know what the loophole is. If there is truly a loophole and we can go and charge $85 or $90 for non-resident, then we need to find out, because we're told the same thing every year. We can't do it.
Well, I can have Pete there. I can ask Pete if he could look at from the legal perspective. I have a meeting on Thursday with my fellow shoreline directors. We meet periodically. We're meeting at the community center with Madison, Clinton, Branford, and us with the directors. I meet with them every couple of months. We haven't met for a while, so I invited them to meet on Thursday, so I can ask them some of these same questions.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
Can you also find out, did the other towns, I know that we have a 55 plus military, $10. Do the other towns have a different fee for non-resident 55 plus military? Or are we just very generous?
We're generous.
which I don't have a problem because those two groups of people, I'm happy to give a discount to. But I just want to make sure that we're keeping all of this in perspective. Like the other towns, yes, they may be charging more for passes, but they also aren't giving these two groups a deal. But I'm happy to raise non-fee as long as we know that we actually can legally do it, because I don't really want to deal with it later on.
I agree with you.
I agree.
And I definitely agree about forgetting about the daily pass.
Yeah. All right, what about increases for the boat racks? A couple of dollars, nothing, five,
What is it now? Did we get a sheet that said that?
No, Rick, what is it now? You told me the other day.
I think it's 80 now. They wanted to go to 100. But again, I'll tell you that I think we have only residents renting boat racks. I don't think we have any non-residents pay double. I don't think we have any. I think we have 240 racks and they're all Guilford residents. I don't believe there are any non-residents because they can't get in. We got so many residents.
Yeah.
Although look, I mean, I don't want to sound like a conflict, but Lawrence, you rent a rack there. I mean, do you think, $80 is pretty reasonable? If we went up to 100, I rent one too. I rent one. It cost me $40 each time I went, because I only went twice. I pay $80 for a rack.
Yeah,
I thought increasing it that much was a lot. I thought maybe we should just increase it like $5.
Rick,
thought
I don't know
Rose
what
said
it,
that. I think that's
I thought for some reason I have 40 in my head.
it's not 40
It's-
because I rented one 2 years ago and I
It's
thought
80.
it was 75 when I did it, but maybe it was 80. Did it go up by
I think it's 75. We went up to a few years ago. But
Okay.
again, keep in mind, this money goes to the general fund, not to us.
I
$5.
think, I think 100, a jump of $20. What we're also talking, we were just talking about the beaches and people are strapped and wanting people to enjoy things. I don't think it makes any sense to raise the beach pass by, the
So-
boat back by $20.
So what if we increase our beach passes, increase our boat racks, and ask for the money to be put towards the fireworks?
I was just thinking the same thing.
I doubt they're going to say yes. You can say that, Rose.
Oh, goodness.
Rick, are we in comparison with our counterparts on our boat racks? I remember when we raised it to 80, I remember looking at Madison and Clinton, and I want to say they were substantially higher than us.
I'm not sure Clinton is. Madison's like 125, I think. And they have a lot more racks. They have a lot of boats, more than we have.
Well,
I'm all for keeping it at 80.
Yeah, Rick, I'm looking at it right now. It is $80 a year.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I
Especially
think
this year.
we said this is probably not the year to do it.
Yeah.
People
no,
have
I
heard
don't,
it.
yeah,
I
I agree
think-
with that as well. I don't think
Yeah.
we should raise it.
And if you have two boats or sometimes the families are picking up extras, and I know some people try to slide two on the one rack, but it doesn't really work that well. So, but I think this year, I think we need to be mindful of a lot of people out of work and,
Right.
so I'm
Yeah,
all
just-
for keeping it at the same.
Raising it that much would be a lot, I think.
Yeah, it's not the year to raise. It's not the year to raise rates.
No. Okay. I'm still, Rick, you don't even get a perk of getting a boat rack for, right? Do you get a spot to park your car?
No, I can't. No, look at. I don't want that because my policy has always been, ever since I've been here, I've always thought that whether it's me or my staff, we pay the same thing that our neighbor pays. If
Absolutely.
you gotta pay something, I pay something.
Yep.
So I've always insisted that. When I first came, there were people getting free beach passes, and I put a stop to it. I mean, people who were, instructors, and I said, no, if your neighbor pays, you
Yeah.
pay. People were
That's
getting
good.
free lunches. I said,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? Then it was $1.50 for lunch. If the seniors can pay $1.50, you
That's
can
right.
pay.
That's right.
So I strongly always say that
It's good.
we shouldn't get any benefit that you can't get. If anything, you guys should get it. You guys are volunteers. We're all getting
Yeah.
paid for what we do. And so we don't get any perk that nobody else gets.
Fair?
Okay, let's go. Last thing on our agenda here. The letter we got asking for a park bench or a picnic table at the community center courtyard.
Are
So,
you all there? I just got disconnected again.
yeah,
We're here. We're here.
All right.
we're talking about the bench or picnic table in the courtyard. Who is, first of all, I guess my first question goes back to what Claire always said. I mean, who is this person and what's his connection and what's up? Because I do not know Ronald Casey. I don't know his connection to the community center.
You know, well, you know Barbara Casey? She's on
No.
some committee thing. Well, she was on the standing building, the high school building committee, I think.
Mhm.
It's her husband. They have a group they call the Breakfast Club, and they used to meet, you know, once
Yes.
every Monday or Thursday or whatever at the community center and have
The community
breakfast.
center, the guys coming, yes.
So it was a group of guys that always came and they had breakfast there, and of course they haven't been able to now. So
Right.
they originally said they wanted to donate $800 to this guy Tom Taylor asked about donating something to the community center to the kitchen. And Larry needs a new microwave, and he wanted to get a commercial made grade microwave for like $1,200. But they then this Tom Taylor contacted me and said they really would rather do a picnic table or a bench that's something that people can see and benefit from, not a microwave that nobody would see it. So they wanted to put something in the courtyard, and I said, well, the commission has a whole policy about benches, and usually it's you know, somebody who contributed somehow to Guilford in some way, you know, or especially if we you know, in the parks, we kind of said that, but anyway, that's what they want to do, and I said, you know, it's got to be, I got to bring it up to the commission because it's I mean, we have a you know, we put a kind of a, you know, portable picnic table out there, I think in the summer that, you know, our guys just put out. There is no bench there. There's the little patio. Right now it's got the little, I guess you call it bistro set. You know, like
Yeah.
the little table and chairs out there. Maybe there's a picnic table. If not, we bring one out in the summer.
Yeah.
So I think you're looking for something better than the sort of temporary things we have out there now. And they're willing to pay for it.
So, okay, Rick, is it necessary? Do we need it?
People do sit out there quite a lot. I do
Yeah.
see them in the summer, so we probably could use something nice out there for them to sit at or on. Yes.
Okay,
And even
Rick,
this fall, I saw people sitting outside quite a lot there too. So yeah.
Rick, do you think we need it? Is there a need for it? What do you say?
Well, I mean, again, people do the picnic table when we put it out. People do sit at it. There is a bench that's behind the community center. It's a June Ford. Somebody remember Marty Ford? Is June
Marty
Ford?
Ford's wife, right?
The Lease Island Garden Club put that in, and they paid for some, you know, repair, some landscaping around it. Last year, actually, they did some stuff, mulch and some other things. I'm trying to find the letter. We did have a letter from the guy. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
Yeah, they're looking for a park bench or picnic table in the courtyard. I think if we did it, I'm not opposed to it, but I think it should go kind of in the patio area we have, because, you know, I don't know if we put it somewhere in the middle of the grass, because kids are out there, teens go out there and throw footballs around. Our preschool goes out and use that area for sprinkler, you know, running around. So if we did it, I think it's got to go on that patio.
Yeah.
Maybe something more permanent than what we have there now, if we wanted to do it. So to answer your question, Lawrence, yeah, I think it'd be useful. We do have something there now. It's just kind of a cheap, you know, plastic, you know, plexiglass table with some chairs around it.
All right.
And you know what, Claire, when we went around and did all the parks, we never did look at the community, that little courtyard area, to be honest.
I think we did, and we said not to add anything else because preschool uses it. We were doing the gardens and everything else. But since we did that, they have had a picnic table there. They have had that other table out there.
Right.
I know I used it all the time when my kids were doing Taekwondo in the spring and summer. We would sit out there and the other kids would eat dinner.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do believe it would get used.
Mhm.
All right. I make a motion that we allow them to put a picnic table in the courtyard.
Second.
So we prefer a picnic table over a bench.
What do you say, Claire?
I mean, it's the breakfast club. To me, that indicates they sat there and had breakfast.
Yeah, I just want to
So,
be sure that everybody
um,
understands.
And that,
Okay.
you know, we do put a picnic table there anyways. That would save us a picnic table for one of our other parks.
Bingo.
Would they, are they gonna put like a little plaque or something on this picnic table?
Yeah, my guess is gonna want to do something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and as with anything, Rick, they're gonna have to run it by you.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? All right. All right, any other business for the good of the order?
Rose, can I just make a clarification on the beach fees?
Yes.
We've agreed not to do daily fees, right? And not to touch resident fees. The only thing I've got to find out is, can we raise the non-resident season pass? Correct?
Correct. That's my understanding as well.
That's what we're looking to do, correct? So I'll find that out and I'll let you know.
Okay. Anything else?
Rick, just on that, I'm all for no cash at the beaches for all the reasons that we've discussed. Are we taking into consideration now all of the transaction fees?
Very good
Do
question.
we encourage people, residents, to come in to Park and Rec and buy them and use cash? Or are we totally credit card central?
I didn't even know if they
Well,
really.
Last year, yeah, it's a good question. I don't know if we, if people came into the center and we took cash. I got to double check that. Good question. I'm not sure, but
We weren't allowed
the
in.
credit card fees, I did talk with our
Yeah,
finance director about that. Who's paying that? You know, who's paying those fees? That does not get passed on to the individuals. Yeah, I mean, the $85,000 we collected this summer is probably maybe $5,000 or $6,000 of credit card fees in there, something like that. So she said that, yes, that would not be charged to us. We won't be paying that.
so they'll reimburse us that money?
I'm back at my phone because I lost you all again. Did you hear everything I said?
I
Yeah,
heard you say, I said, are they gonna reimburse us the money? I mean, how is that gonna work?
We're not paying for it. It's not coming out of our budget, or we're not paying out of reimbursables for sure.
well, they just get the net effect of it, not the gross.
Correct.
Right, so instead of getting the 85,000, they're only gonna get 80. So it doesn't affect us.
Whatever it is, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think aren't they changing their system as well? I know the golf course is waiting to hear, and we're hoping that the fees are going down. Because we pay a lot. The golf course pays a lot in fees.
Yeah, well, the credit card things is what came up. Ellen actually brought it up because of the cost, because all this goes through reimbursables. Everything that comes in, everything gets collected, it goes through reimbursables, it gets passed through to the town budget. So we
Okay,
make sure that we are not paying those program fees. And Mary Jane said, we are not. It'll, the town will cover it.
They
I
better.
can't believe I lost you again.
all right.
Think-
So basically, we keep that money.
All right, I'm back to my phone again. I keep losing everybody.
but then it's like
Uh.
Claire was saying, if we can try to find a way to encourage people to purchase, you know, the passes at the rec center versus using a credit card. We'll probably have to just think of a way to encourage people to do that. I don't think a lot of people think of the charges that, you know, you get charged for the credit card. That,
Yeah, right.
I don't think it was.
You know, we
an
can talk
option.
about that. I think if they're paying at the office, they can pay any way they want. It's at the
Yeah.
beaches, we want to be careful about cash, I think.
yes. Agreed.
But the other thing is with that, it's true that you pay fees, but if it's encouraging more people to buy passes because they just go on a whim when they can't go inside, so then it's like worth it, you know, even if we're paying some amount on each one.
Right.
Should we make a motion to adjourn before we wear all Rick running back and forth?
I know, I keep going to another room, I lose it, and I go grab the phone, and I hear my voice over here, and I come back.
I'm impressed, Rick.
I
You're in
need
good
to
shape.
exercise. I'm gonna sign up for the splash into motion. I just got a couple of miles.
All right, any other comments? Last call here. Okay, Laura, go for it.
I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
I'll second.
Yay. Let's
All in
discuss
favor?
it. Let's
Yeah,
discuss
let's-
it.
We like to discuss on this in
All
this.
right, I assume we're all in favor.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
All
aye.
right. Thank
Aye.
you. all.
Thank you, Rick.
All
Thank
right,
you,
I wonder
Rick.
how this is gonna look in the recording. It's gonna be all broken up from.
Nah, we won't worry about it.
You look
I'd
I'd like to
athletic,
know
Rick.
how many
It's good.
steps you got.
Yeah, you got a lot of steps in.
What are we doing with this recording anyway?
We
I don't
post
know
them on
what
the
that is. I don't
website.
know.
That
Oh,
goes
I think I
somewhere?
lost
turn
Dan.
off the
Thank
recording.
you, everybody.
How do we know if anybody's
Goodbye.
watching it?
Yeah, really. Good night, all.
You should
Night.
read it because it comes out as gibberish because the software, the voice recognition software comes up with really weird stuff.
Oh, does.
So you
no.
should read
Are
it. It's
we-
quite funny.
Do we officially adjourn? Because I can hit the,
Yes, we're
the button.
officially
We
adjourned.
are all done.
all right, because I lost you again. I'm on my phone again.
Kathy, thank
Good
God for
night.
you keeping all these notes. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
Keeps me
Goodbye,
out.
everybody.
Bye.
Stay safe.
Be well. Stay safe.